Hi, this is Jan Ozer. I'm here at NAB with Kyle Bank from Phenix. Kyle, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So Phenix has a low latency WebRTC driven platform, and they recently sponsored a survey at the Super Bowl to understand viewer experiences at the Super Bowl via regular broadcasts and some other platforms. Kyle, tell us what you found.
We found that the broadcast latency actually had gone up this year to an average of about 22 seconds if you were watching on cable platforms. And across the various streaming services, Paramount Plus was the quickest at an average of 43 seconds behind the action on the field. But the drift also amongst these platforms is quite significant, between 35 and over 130 seconds, meaning someone could be 20 seconds behind the action and someone else is over 2 minutes behind the action, which in long term we believe limits the user experience for live sports.
Is that on the same platform, that drift, or different platforms?
It drifts within a single platform. So for example, whether you're watching on YouTube TV or Hulu Live or VIX or Paramount Plus, within that platform, even within the same household, you could be tens of seconds apart from another TV in your own house.
Okay, and then in Phenix, tell them where they can find the study, including spelling Phenix.
You can find the study at Phenix, spelled PHENIXRTS.com. And we've got the latency studies going back 4 years worth of data. And actually latencies have gone up since 4 years ago for the Super Bowl. So, everyone here at NAB is talking about low latency. It's a very big, hot topic. But yet we see the industry staying somewhat in the same place in terms of deployment for large-scale live events.
So who cares about that? I mean, I live in a house. I don't have neighbors. I didn't really care if the Super Bowl was 20 seconds or 50 seconds behind the action on the field. Who cares about that and why?
The biggest thing driving our business today is live sports betting, where you have in-game bets or play-by-play opportunities where our customers really demand real-time streaming with less than a half a second of end-to-end latency. And what's held us back historically in the broadcast space is a lack of server-side ad insertion within the WebRTC ecosystem world. And this year we're excited to announce that now in beta we have server-side ad insertion capabilities. And broadcasters don't have to sacrifice ad revenue just to improve latency. So we're seeing the technology develop over time, and in the long run we think that low latency is going to become more important in this ecosystem as companies have proven out quality and scale. We think latency is somewhere next on the list.
Okay. There's a huge difference between 50 seconds and sub 1 second, which is kind of what you're selling, and there's a lot of low latency technologies like low latency HLS and Dash that it doesn't seem like some of these broadcasters are using. So you've got this study that was very effective in showing that latency sucks for major events. Is that going to push those broadcasters to WebRTC, do you think?
We're talking to broadcasters about building premium offerings and premium subscription services, whether that just be a real-time stream to see it here before anywhere else, or multi-angle or multi-view solutions to build new user experiences on top of what's already available. So it's not necessarily always a rip and replace conversation, but what else can we build to keep viewers in longer, which could be watch parties, it could be multi-angle content, it could be multiple games streamed at the same time where the user has a level of interactivity to move that content around and essentially become their own producer. So a lot of these new user experiences are driving the conversation just as much as the latency conversation is driving things forward.
Okay, so who's using your platform today? And I guess, why don't you describe your platform in 30 seconds or less?
In 30 seconds or less, we built a platform for delivering real-time video at scale with less than a half a second of latency from encoding all the way through playback, where we manage the end-to-end video streaming pipeline for our customers and provide synchronization across the audience within 3 video frames. So everyone sees the same thing at the same time. A significant portion of our customer base is in sports betting and gaming. We also work with webinar platforms. We work with people building social media applications like next-gen TikTok live applications. One of our customers, Venivia, launched earlier this month to really use live content and influencers to drive engagement. So it's a broad span of use cases, but really live sports is at the heart of what we're building.
Okay. Heard a lot about media over quick. Is that affecting your business? Is that something you're looking at?
It's absolutely something we're looking at. we're not a WebRTC company, we're a real-time video streaming company, and always experimenting with and exploring new technologies. We're also working towards low latency HLS and Dash as well, so that we have a full suite of offerings and are not locked into a single protocol for delivery.
Okay, one of the criticisms of WebRTC traditionally has been audience size and audience cost, because you can't use the standard CDN for delivery. What's the largest crowd size you've ever gotten on one of the events that was in your system?
Our largest events to date have peaked at 500,000 peak concurrent viewers of a single stream. If you add in all the views, it's over 2 million views on that event, but at a single time, 500,000. Today we have 34 points of presence across the globe that's deployed as a multi-cloud infrastructure, so we're not reliant on a single cloud vendor. That enables us to maintain the reliability and uptime that our customers demand, especially if there's dollars on the line. It's pretty critical. So we think in terms of scale, we're ready to reach that million peak concurrent audience and looking for the first customer that pushes us there.
So when I looked at low latency technologies a few years ago, we talked about one of the deficits that was advertising. You're able to do that, or you will be able to do that soon. What about full encoding ladders and features like captions? Where are you with that?
Absolutely, yeah. We have a full adaptive bitrate stack that enables us to transcode in the cloud to, I believe, 8 different quality levels, going down from 1080p all the way down to 144. And
is that in the WebRTC component, or is that still at sub-second, or is that just something that's delivered via ABR separately?
It's all still sub-second, and it's our own implementation of WebRTC multi-bitrate transcoding. So this is something that also sets us apart from other WebRTC platforms that are using traditional WebRTC simulcast, which typically you have 2 or 3 quality levels. So it's, you could call it ABR Lite, whereas our goal is to provide a full broadcast experience and match the full ladder that you'd get from a YouTube Live or a major live streaming platform, but do that in a real-time way. So it's standard compliant with WebRTC, but the way we handle the multi-bitrate transcoding is our own stack.
What about the robustness of the stream? I mean, how much are you seeing more stream interruptions than you would get over a fully buffered ABR, or has the delivery infrastructure gotten so good that you just don't see that many interruptions anymore?
There aren't a ton of interruptions, but every once in a while someone's driving, they go through a tunnel, they lose all internet connectivity. The big difference between real-time and HLS or chunk-based delivery is, in an HLS world, if you buffer, when you come back to the video, you're however many seconds further behind as long as that buffer was running. In a WebRTC real-time world, you're back at the real-time playhead. So, you may miss a portion of the video if you lose connectivity, but when you come back, you're still in real time. You're not, 6 seconds further behind, which enables us to keep the synchronization window really tight. And why traditional HLS has significant drift amongst the audience because of the structure of how buffering works for playback. So not to say there's never interruptions, but the way it's architected is to adjust the bitrate and the quality to still maintain a real-time latency and a good quality of experience.
Speaking of quality, what is the quality of low latency video as compared to full latency video? Because some of the switches you enable or disable to get to low latency impact quality. So what's your sense of the quality deficit or the bandwidth increase you need to implement to make the quality the same as compared to a typical ABR presentation?
It's a great question. I mean, today we can go up to 1080p 60 frames per second. Looks really good. 4K is on the roadmap and something we're working towards with next-gen codecs. The key for WebRTC is browser implementations of the next-gen codecs like H.265 within the WebRTC stack. So, there are certain limitations, but we see the industry in our world progressing quite quickly, and at 1080p the streams still look really good on a big screen.
So I guess my question is, if I'm broadcasting 1080p Super Bowl at 6 megabits per second, it's going to look pretty good for a typical ABR ladder. What am I going to see at 6 megabits per second for low latency?
The same thing. So we go up to those type of bit rates today. Over time, I think we'll get to bit rates in 12 to 15 megabits per second and get into 4K streaming. But today we're handling high quality video and trying to not correct, but educate the industry on what's possible now. You know, a few years ago, these things weren't possible to do adaptive bitrate, to do server-side ad insertion, and have high quality within a sub-second latency system. And yeah, we're here to say it's now possible.
Okay, listen, that's been great. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, really appreciate it. Thank you.